"Who the fuck are you? Get out!" the woman shouted. Els turned around without a word and went back outside. "So they're at home then?" Nuke asked, leant against the wall outside.
"Yeah, there's a lady in there."
"Ooh, how scary. Sneak in and steal something." This was Nuke's new idea to punish Shobutai for draining his coffers and killing his adventuring instructor's pet dog. By stealing the crockery from some local woman's kitchen, he was probably teaching the roving bands of slavers a lesson. Or something. Sometimes the logic of a professional ninja is characteristically hard to detect. The homeowner had gone upstairs for a moment, and so Els made his move. While the Shek were, as a species, quite big and noisy, Els had a special gift. He had soft scales on his feet that muffled the sound of his footsteps. Thus the only sound he made as he snuck was the ruffle of his discoloured cargo shorts, and then soon the clattering of the crud bundle he had under his arms. "Good work, old chap. Wow, you stole a fucking steak off the grill! Still piping hot, you madman!"
"I thought you wanted me to do it."
"You thought right, my man. Come on, hide the crap in my bag. I've already lined up our next target." Outside the town, the gang had got a good taste of the sort of work Azumi did, rummaging through 3,000-year-old junk, and now she was getting a taste of what the guild that sponsored her was about.
"Another one!"
Isaiah called. Wadston rushed over and knelt beside the vagrant. The local samurai had beaten up a few wanderers for breaking the law against looking tired and hungry in sight of a nobleman's estate. Now Wadston was assessing the severity of the wounds and, more importantly, the likely sale value of the man's walking stick. "So this is non-consensual private healthcare. You rob the dying," Izumi said.
"We provide a valuable service and manage the patient's credit through a system of direct debit," Wadston explained.
"And I carry the corpses,"
Isaiah added.
"I think that's all we can do for this one,"
Wadston was saying. Izumi stooped down and pulled a roll of coins from underneath the patient/victim.
"Oh, well done, Miss Izumi. I think I'll get his arm splintered in that case. Have you considered becoming a credit manager?"
"Seems like I'll pay you back faster this way," Izumi said, feeling the weight of the coins in her hand, yet not the guilt of theft. Such was the wonder of Wadston's miracle method. They got the job done, and paired with the scrap metal they sold from Izumi's work, they got more than enough money for food and shelter. But the day's work wasn't over. In the darkness of the general store, Nuke and Els huddled in the corner. "This fucking place is open 24 hours as well," Nuke whispered.
"Oh, well, when does it close then?"
"My rancid friend, you mustn't ask questions. Just hold the bag open, will you?" With that, Nuke started dragging armfuls of miscellany towards Els's rucksack. The clattering drew the attention of a guard, who wandered over. "My friend, I'm so sorry. They were out of stock, and I know how much you wanted that, Nuke took a peek into the bag. "White lump. Oh, it's a fucking bowl. The white bowl you wanted. It's out of stock. That's what I'm saying to you, my friend."
"I don't want to buy a bowl. We've already got one, remember?"
Els said. Nuke laughed heartily, pushing Els past the two guards approaching them, and out the door. "You fool! We've no bowls. They were out of stock. The shelf was bare before we arrived, remember? I just told you. Typical Shek. Come on, my man." Somehow the pair left without incident and crashed their bags down at the guild's camp. The noise startled Wadston awake, but he soon fell back asleep, hearing Nuke purring something about phantom pennies to himself. In the morning, Nuke proposed that they leave town to go offload their haul in marketplaces that weren't awash with talk of stolen ceramics. "I don't think I'm going to get much work done here, am I?" Izumi said. "All this dig has taught us is why no one was digging out here before."
"That's not entirely true, Miss Izumi,"
Wadston said, his face reddening all of a sudden.
"I think we learned a thing or two about the strength of your character in the face of adversity. We all owe you our lives."
Whoa, Nuke jumped in. "I don't owe History Girl my life, it's the other way around. I was protecting her honor." Your guide here was protecting me, Izumi retorted. And you just spent all night robbing innocents. Innocents? Look, I stole this stuff because of you. A gentleman indeed. I suppose the people here live from the profits of those damn manhunters. Yes, exactly what you said there. That was going somewhere, wasn't it? It goes somewhere where I'm right, doesn't it, Charlie?
I just done what you told me, Master.
Don't call him Master. He doesn't like it,
Wadston said. Nuke shook his head. No, it's fine. It's a different thing here, okay? Don't worry. Izumi, you're now my official robbery justification consultant, okay? No? Great. Now let's go fence this shit somewhere, get rich, then come back and do it again.
You really don't need to keep doing this,
Isaiah said. Oh yes we do, man. We're taking these slavers all the way down. We're gonna keep taking their shid until the only thing they have left is their actual shid. And then Charlie here will probably get on that too. Don't ask. Soon the crew filed out through the gates, joining a departing merchant caravan. The caravan was headed to Stoat, a town west of the capital of Heft, also on the lip of the desert. It was the long way home, but there were customers to attend to along the road, so it was by no means wasted time. About halfway to Stoat there was a mining camp, outside which the crew came across a man hobbling around in shackles, a real escaped slave. Nuke jumped into action.
What are you doing?
The man croaked. Hold still, Superdreg, Nuke said. After a great deal of rattling about with an iron nail in the shackle's lock, they snapped open. The man was lost for words, and ran off at once in a kind of euphoric panic. Prince of the Empire freeing slaves? Very bad, Izumi commented. Then spin it. Revenge? Sudden burst of morality, perhaps? First one. Come on, I want to take a look at this slave stuff. Morality. Grow up. Nuke led the band away from the caravan and into the mining camp. While the United Cities Empire was powered by slavery, nobles like Nuke didn't see very much of it, for the labours and privations were confined to work camps like the one they were in. Everywhere men and women were mining stone and loading it onto pack beasts to be sold in Shobutai. There were almost as many guards, ensuring not a single enslaved breath was not put to good use. When Nuke announced who he was, his party was allowed to browse the stock freely. Wadston, my man, did you know about all this? Nuke asked.
I had a certain idea, my prince.
Is this what slaves do? Just this?
And similar labours.
Man, and you can just get thrown into this mess. History Girl was nearly out here.
I'm sure once everyone realised the mistake, things would have been rectified.
Wadston didn't try very hard to make his words carry any conviction. Right, we're getting revenge for this too.
My prince?
Don't worry yourself, I'll arrange it. Come on. Their brief visit was over, and Nuke was clearly upset to learn of the very thing that his empire was world famous for. Or so communications manager Izumi would have you believe. Perhaps in truth the burgeoning ninja just wanted an excuse for the string of burglaries he was planning for Stoat's slave trading house. On the other hand, you and I, who know Nuke fairly well by now, might argue that he wasn't the sort of fellow to require excuses for his impulses. Whatever the case, the brief overnighting in Stoat left Wadston awkwardly carrying a rolled-up rug and everyone's bags bulging with a smorgasbord of semi-valuable bits, bobs, misc and other. They now faced a day-long trek across the soft white sands that ran down from the Heng Highlands on the desert's southern edge.
Where are you from then, Charlie?
Isaiah asked the new Shek.
I'm from the Shek Kingdom. Yes. Any town in particular? Not really.
Ah, perhaps I understand you.
Have you been to Admag recently? No. What's Admag?
It's the capital. The Queen lives there.
Oh, I know the Queen.
As do I, as it happens.
Are you from Admag?
Indeed I am.
Then why are you here?
Well, the story there is in my very image.
Because you're fat.
What? No, because You're the fat one!
Yeah, it's from rum. And I suspect other deficiencies share a similar cause. What? Exactly.
Heft was the same old, same old. A giant battle was underway between a platoon of samurai and a lumbering, towering skimmer, big enough to be the king of all skimmers, and had already been raging for hours. "Peace at last," Nuke declared as they walked on by the struggle and over towards the stuffy little WNCPHGHQ. While the others were happy for the rest and the protection of a more loyal brand of lawbringer, Nuke had been scheming for the whole trip and couldn't wait to put his new plan into action. He rushed off to the north end of the city to visit his old partners in the hashish business, the ring of shinobi smugglers, known to some as the Thieves' Guild.
Boy, who's this mysterious disguised man walking up on my tower?
The thief boss said as Nuke approached. "I'm a passing ninja with an interesting proposition for you," Nuke said.
Oh yeah? How about you hand over the 5 grand you owe me?
"What? I know not of what you speak, kind sir."
Tashino, take that thing off your head.
Tashino? Who is Tashino?
Where's my 5 grand? I've got a receipt here that says you ordered, to quote, a fugload of hashish, and you got it. Pay up and I'll spare your life.
You can't kill me.
Why not?
I'm the prince.
Whoops, my mistake. Okay, 10 grand.
Look, fine. Okay, it's me. I've got some stuff for you. Good stuff. I've been doing a little ninjaing, you see.
Oh, you're getting into the business, are you?
Freelance credit management and unannounced product recall. I've got a lot of work to do in the palace.
Really?
Yeah. Why don't you sign me up and you can take the stuff off my hands?
Sure. That'll be 10 grand.
I'll give you this broken angle grinder if you make it 5.
I won't increase it to 20 if you agree right now.
Deal! Almost all of the Tashino Credit Management Guild's capital was forked over in exchange for official membership of the Shinobi Thieves Network, a worldwide band of grey market traders. It wasn't as cool as being a ninja, but Nuke wasn't going to let that stop him buying all the official shinobi merch with the money he made fencing the halls from his adventure/business trip. At last he actually began to appear somewhat disguised, swapping his vibrant robes for an edgy black rag shirt and a Chief Thief brand black designer rucksack. He rushed home to show his friends how cool he was now, but they were selfishly asleep. They'd need all the sleep they could get to cope with discovering what happened to all their money. In the meantime, Nuke went out for his first night on the job. He walked up to his father's palace and did something akin to sneaking inside. Well, let's be honest, he walked in through the front door dressed like an old sock in need of retirement. But the guards recognized the prince and decided not to intervene with his rummaging about the palace. Thus, the amateur shinobi, with union dues fully paid, had a very successful shift at the surprisingly in need of recall products depot. In the morning, he popped his head around the door of Wadston's shed.
I swear I locked it up,
Isaiah was saying.
You've cost us all of our money. Those insatiable thieves,
Wadston moaned. Enter Nuke.
You've been fooled, my man.
What the fug are you wearing, Your Majesty? Izumi asked. This is my shinobi uniform. No, it's not. 10,000 cats says otherwise.
We're missing exactly 10,000 cats,
Isaiah said. Oh, by the way, a cat was the unit of currency in the Empire, so don't get the wrong idea here.
My prince, you haven't fallen in with the thieves of the tower, have you?
Wadston asked. Technically, no. We all have.
My prince?
That's right. The Wadman Non-Conceptual Health Guild is now an associate member of the Union of Shinobi Thieves.
10,000 cats,
Isaiah lamented. Maybe he was thinking about the animal. I don't know.
My prince, are you sure that's a wise investment? Or an investment at all?
Wadston, how much do you think we're going to steal from those slavers? Less than 10 grand? I'll make the money back stealing Dad's shit alone.
You've been robbing the palace again?
No, I was out helping the poor learn to ride bloody skimmers. Of course I'm robbing Dad. I feel that's the sort of thing you shouldn't shout about, Azumi commented. Well, history girl, you probably think actions speak louder than words, don't you? What? Are you accusing me of something? You sit there, saying that stealing is wrong, but I don't see you stealing anything. That's not exactly an argument, or even a real sentence. Then forget the words. It's time for action. Follow me. The confused guild went with Nuke to the Shinobi Tower by the North Gate. It turns out that this union of thieves offered all kinds of membership perks: childcare, bed and breakfast, free haircuts, and most importantly of all for Nuke, a thievery enrichment program. Courses such as deconstructing tropes in common locksmithing, a history of spinal severance, and the ever-popular corpse looting for intermediates all promised to enrich students in quite the literal sense. Nuke had signed the whole gang up for some intensive training ahead of what he referred to as Revenge Episode 2, Piddler on the Roof. As it happens, what precisely this entailed was not destined to come to light. Probably for the best, really. Nuke's perfectly laid plans had one fatal flaw: Nuke Tashino. While his friends were at stealing school, he was out on a field trip. He walked up to the palace doors, pushing an old wheelbarrow in front of him. He waved his hands at the guards. "I'm not the thief you're looking for," he said, his voice muffled by a flap of the t-shirt in his mouth.
Prince Tashino, heard you'd be back. Go on then, the guard sighed.
About an hour later, Nuke huffed and puffed his way back out, with the wheelbarrow filled with light fixtures, tableware, board game pieces, and even handfuls of loose grains and flour. Thorough, gotta give him that. Only problem was that the guards stepped out to block his path.
Not stealing this barrow of imperial property, are you, my prince? The guard asked.
No, I'm going to donate them to the poor, Nuke replied sarcastically.
So shall I take that as a yes, my prince?
No! This, you dreg, is credit, and I am its manager. As you are not the account holder, I cannot give out confidential information on its origin, destination, or black market resale value.
Would you step away from the barrow for a moment, my prince?
More guards appeared from behind him. Oh dear. You dregs! I let you smoke my fucking hashish! Just let me go, alright?
Afraid we've got orders from the Emperor, my prince. I see you've got his shoes in your barrow there.
They were recalled by the manufacturer.
And our contacts in the Shinobi tell me you've signed your guild up for the Deluxe Steel Deal Imperial Package. Not planning any criminal activity, are you, my prince?
A back and forth of much the same nature as you've already heard went on for some time. While the prince was distracted by alternately arguing with and insulting the guard, his loot was steadily returned to its place by the palace staff, and a pair of shackles was clamped around his ankles.
You insufferable double dreg shids!
Nuke shouted.
My father will hear of this insult.
3, 2, 1, let's jam!
His father was singing upstairs, doors locked, volume up, clothes a thing of only distant memory. Nuke was pushed down the palace ramp and told that his exile began for real now.
We've organised a little trip for you, my prince, the guard said.
With the comic timing of the old masters, a foot was extended, Nuke was upended, and his face smashed into the coarse metal at the ramp's base. The loud laughter from the guards attracted the attention of Isaiah, who was doing some homework in the nearby guild HQ. The do's and do's of sewer sleuthing was not the most interesting of required reading, so he walked outside, just in time to see an unconscious Nuke being carried into the jail across the road.
See what cards he has,
one of the police was excitedly saying. Isaiah rushed after them to investigate. Not the card thing, the Nuke being arrested thing. He arrived to see Nuke being fussed over in a prison cage by a huge gang of manhunters. Bad news. Manhunters often broke people out of prison to add to their stocks, which saved the police time as well, so it was all above board.
I hope you're not considering laying your hands on the Prince of the Empire,
Isaiah lectured them. They didn't like it. Well, you know too much, don't you? That's illegal, one claimed. The group piled on the poor Shek and locked him up in one of the cages. Then one of them dragged Nuke outside. That is how disaster struck our poor crew. Denied their inspirational leader, and with their adventuring instructor falsely imprisoned, how could they go on? Well, to be honest, they didn't even notice for a pretty long time. But eventually it would be time for action, and sitting through that jailbreaking for busy professionals course would very much pay off.